Hello and welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests, to the meeting of online presenters of Virtual Toastmasters Club. I'm Sergeant at Arms Sunny Fridge, aka Dr. Sunny. Guests, please note that to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. However, if you have substantial relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by our club. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it displays your name and role. Hover over your video, right-click, and select Rename. Remember, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. As a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording the meeting. Your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. And now, please help me welcome to the virtual stage our club president, Marianne Grady. Welcome, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sunny, and good evening, everybody. We're so happy that you're here. Now, Online Presenters serves those who give online presentations professionally or aspire to do so. And that could be public webcasts, live video, internal company video conferences, and screen sharing sessions. So if you do any of those things, you're in the right place to improve your skills. Tonight, I want to tell you a couple of things that are coming up. So next week, we have our former president, Nick Lacani. He is coming in to give us a presentation on how to grow your club. And so Nick is a very seasoned speaker and very interesting to listen to. So I hope you'll tune in. Now, we also have something called Talk Up Toastmasters, which is a membership drive for the month of February and March. And during this time, if our club gets, I think, 5 new members or reinstated members, then I don't know, what do we get, Joni?
Could I pass that one to Andy? I know there's usually a cute little ribbon and a discount in the Toastmaster store so we can get pins, and prizes. But I know there's a cute little ribbon for the.
You have a 10% discount on the Toastmaster store. You have the recognition activities that go on for the club and bragging rights. If you get more than 5, there's a different class of award for it as well. But it's all on the Toastmaster site. Be happy to put it in the chat box later on today.
Well, thank you, Andy. Thanks for bailing me out there. But you know, if you're thinking about joining, now would be a great time, because I believe our vice president of membership already has a couple of prospects that he's working with. So I think we'll get to that 5 easily. So let's give it a shot. Now, next week, the 20th will be our next meeting. And of course, you're welcome to join us. And now I think we're ready to start the meeting. And we have a guest who's actually taking over as Toastmaster of the Day. And that would be, oh, I lost his name, Jay Vanadev. And Jay is a very enthusiastic young man from India, and I welcome him to the stage, and I hope you will too. Put your hands together for Jay.
Hello, once again, good evening and good morning from India. I'm Jay Vallarisu M. Vasudev. You can call me Jay because my name is a pure Tamil name. it may be quite difficult for you all to pronounce it correctly. So you could kindly stick with J. Well, poetry's break. What else I can talk about poetry's break? I hope I'm audible and visible. Thank you so much for the confirmation. Well, writing has always been my sanctuary, a sacred space where my thoughts and emotions find refuge and my soul takes flight. Since childhood, it has been my compass guiding me through life's labyrinth of challenges and joys. Along this journey, I discovered modern poetry, a revelation that transformed my worldview and awakened my soul. To me, poetry is not just words strung together, it is a profound dialogue, a quiet yet powerful conversation we hold with ourselves and extend to the world, I would say. It's a mirror that reflects the universe mysteries, its radiant beauty, and its unspoken sorrow. Through poetry, we journey inward, traversing the intricate landscapes of our emotions and thoughts while also forging a deeper connection with the world beyond. Poetry has a unique power. It invites us to pause, reflect, and feel with an intensity that prose can rarely achieve. So now, without making a further ado, Andrew, I turn to you. What is poetry to you? What does it illuminate in your heart and mind? Before sharing today's tip, I would love to hear your interpretation as together we embark on this shared exploration of meaning. Over to you, Andrew.
Asking for me, Jay?
Yes, what is poetry according to you?
You call it to me. And what is your question?
What is
Yeah,
poetry
What is
according to
poetry to me?
you?
Poetry is a way of expressing yourself that follows a certain structure. I had English as both a student in junior high, high school, and required in college. Poetry sometimes is reflected in terms of specific authors in the English language, such as Shakespeare, such as Blake and others that present itself. But today, poetry can be more free formed. Maya Angelou, for example, has more free form poetry than the Shakespearean style of pentameters and things of that nature. So for me, poetry is just another way of communications and expressing oneself. I'm not very good at it, so I wouldn't even attempt it other than the poetry that you use in jokes such as roses are red, violets are blue, I love you, that kind of stuff.
yeah, that is absolutely correct, I would say, because poetry is all about reflection that we have with the universe or the reflection that we have with the people surrounded by us, I would say. And yeah, so I truly agree with your point of view and the perspective. So that's a great answer. So yeah, please go ahead with your tips.
Sorry, did you ask me another question?
Your tip of
Well, I
Tip
don't
of the day. Your tip of the day.
tip of the day.
Okay, I'm ready for you there. Okay, today I thought I would do a number of different things to just bring you up to date on what's going on out there. First off, how many, just by show of hands, how many people are aware that emojis are starting to really become popular? Emojis are not just the little things that you have in the emoji constellation, but they're also being used to express yourself. And we have it in the Zoom. If you go to the video and the caret and ask it to show an avatar, you can come out as an avatar and talk and do this. But there are many other styles of avatars that people are using as well. And let me just show you some of the things that are in existence for that. Show you. Here is an example. Well, here's an example of Notion that many people may or may not be aware of. And they just added this new feature in 2025, the ability to create avatars and emoji faces that you want. So you can put your emoji and put down a saying next to the emoji. And this is useful if you want to put it with your writings or emails of people, so people get a sense of who you are, your playful side, so to speak. So that's one thing that's easy to do. But also Apple, as part of its Apple Intelligence activity, is doing something called a Gemoji, which is allowing you to create pictures of yourself and create your own avatars. This is an example of an avatar that I did myself. It doesn't take it from a picture, but you have to literally go and create your facial expression and your eyes and your nose and mouth and all that, and you get an avatar that you create from there. This is different from the avatar that I showed you at the beginning with Zoom, because it's not moving the way you're moving, it's not tracking you, it's not moving your mouth. So those are some of the things that people are beginning to do. If you go to Google and just type emoji, you'll see that there are about 4 or 5 different emoji makers. So you can make your own emoji that expresses what you want to do and how you want to have others perceive you at. So that's one thing to know about. The other thing I'm going to leave with you is from Zoom. And the thing I want to mention about Zoom is that Zoom is getting crazy in terms of adding more features that you may or may not be aware that are easily available to you as part of your Zoom workplace. And I would recommend checking for an updated version of Zoom regularly, like 2 or 3 times a week, because it's that frequently that they're adding stuff. The first thing I want to point is that you can link up your mail, whether it's Gmail, Outlook, Apple Mail, to this connector here. And then you don't have to leave the Zoom application to go to your mail. It's right there. It'll also link up with your calendar. Whiteboards have changed in the sense that whiteboards used to be, when you used it in the context of Zoom, you would do an explanation or an outline on the whiteboard. And what would happen then is at the end of the session, the whiteboard information would disappear. That's no longer taking place. All the information that you put on a whiteboard in a particular session gets saved to your back office, and you can go back and check on it from whenever you want and share it. You can share it now to people that are on Zoom or off of Zoom. Docs is very important because you can have pretty extensive documentation as part of your note-taking process on Zoom. There's also an application there that you don't see on this picture that is Notes, and you can have that running concurrently. The reason docs are important is, let's say you're doing a presentation, and you know how everybody says, in order to be engaged, you have to look right at your camera and be part of that process. Well, it's sort of hard if you're trying to worry where you're going to put your notes. If you use a notes application, notes can be right on your screen, on one half of your screen, and you can follow everything that you want to do in your presentation, including your presentation, on a side of your screen, and you can track it and work with it in Docs. Clips is sort of, how many people are familiar with the application Loom, Loom? Clips is sort of like that, in that you can make a picture video of anything you want, and where clips that are used in particular for clubs or people that use Zoom is that when you enter your club access point, you can have the clips go on and do an advertisement, sort of like a commercial for the club or a commercial for something that you're promoting. Applications, Zoom has now integrated an extra 2,700 applications into the Zoom program. So you don't have to leave the program to go into these additional applications. They also have additional components. We are now using Zoom Meeting, but there are other forms of Zoom. You have Zoom Events, you have Zoom Seminars, and you have Zoom Convention. And each of those different types of Zooms does other things. I'll be happy to talk to anybody offline, but I think my 3 to 4 minutes are taken up and utilized. So I thank you all for listening, and I hope you've learned something.
Thank you so much, Dr. Andrew, for your amazing tip. I hope it will be useful to everyone out there. Well, I guess my accent is not quite understandable. Am I right?
Was that?
Uh, my accent is understandable or not?
Not the
Uh,
accent,
there
the
are
audio.
certain
Your
words
audio's
that are-
popping a little bit.
Yeah.
It's your audio.
Okay, give me a second.
Okay. Zoom also does translation. So if you're speaking another language, you can hook in your translation right on Zoom and get, when you look at your captions, right now I have my captions turned off. But if I had a little bit of difficulty understanding you, then all I have to do is turn my captions on and it would translate what you're saying so I can look at it and say, oh, that's what he said. So don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, in any case, I mean, the audio problem is,
so
there's
much
a little
for
bit of
all your
distortion, but it's not too
patience.
bad.
Yeah, I hope now I'm very much audible and clear.
That's actually better, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim. It really means a lot to me. Well, let's get into the flow of the meeting. And as we discuss about poetry, uh, how poetry is important in one's life and how much it has been creating a great impact in one's life as well. So now I'm going to recite my favorite poem. Before that, I would like to add my note, I would say. To mark this moment, I dedicate my first poem to everyone who carries the weight of unspoken truths lingering like shadows in their heart. This is for those yearning for acceptance, for love, and for the gentle balm of kind words. It is also for those wrestling with the existential storms brought by society's unyielding judgments. Let this poem serve as a bridge to understanding, a flame of hope, and a whisper of reassurance. Let it remind you that you are seen, heard, and cherished. I will now recite, let me speak for 3 minutes. May it resonate with all who listen. Let me speak. Let me speak what you cannot voice, the ache that lingers behind your laughter, the fear nestled deep in your chest, the memory you lock away like secrets in a fading diary. Let me speak of the nights you lay awake when the world seemed distant, a labyrinth with no way out. I will weave your loneliness into verses, turn your pain into something that feels less like a scar and more like a truth you are ready to share. I know the weight you carry, the quiet storms inside. Your tears are not weakness. Your tears are not weakness. They are echoes of your strength. Let me catch them in the ink of my pen, scatter them across the page as constellations, not to erase them, but to show you there is beauty even in the unraveling. You're not forgotten. This world, though vast and cold,
can cradle your voice, and I will shape your silence into a song that hums with understanding. In words, in phrases, in rhythms that feel like they were always yours. I will hold space for your story. Let me speak of the fears you buried deep, that one you think no one will ever see. I will turn them into bridges, into wings, into paths you can walk toward the light. Your story matters. It deserves to breathe, to soar, to reach the hearts of others. And I promise this, I will not just write your struggles, but your triumphs, your laughter, your dance. So come, bring me your silence, your storms, your truths. I will weave them into lines so tender, so powerful. They will echo in your soul, reminding you your voice has always been there, waiting to rise. Let me speak. Thank you, everyone. This is my first poem, and I would say that today is the first time that I'm performing my poem at online presenters, and especially in Toastmasters, I would say. And I hope this day will remind as special for me because I performed my first poem in Toastmasters, especially at online presenters. So thank you so much. So without making any further ado, let's welcome our tag team. So the tag team, the acronym stands for timer, R counter, and grammarian. But since we are online presenters has a few special characters who all have the capacity to inspire us. So they are none other than watcher, chat monitor, and I guess did I forget anyone?
Hope
I
Ah,
didn't think like
counter.
voter. I guess voter. So totally we have 6 role players who will be assisting us with general evaluation, I would say. So now I would like to call our first role player, timer, Dr. Sunny Fridge, the very enthusiastic and a great speaker. Let us welcome Sunny Fridge. Over to you, Sunny Fridge. Please explain your role and introduce yourself.
All right, listen up, everybody. Time is of the essence. Timing is important. As timer, I will be making sure that people stay on time, even if I forgot to time the tip of the day. In regular speeches, 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I'll show the green. At 6 minutes, I will show the yellow. And at 7 minutes, I will show the red. You should wrap up, and the red will remain on the screen. For impromptu speeches, that's 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, I will show the green. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will show the yellow. And at 2 minutes, I will show the red. You should wrap up. And in evaluations, that's a 2 to 3 minute speech. At 2 minutes, I'll show the green. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will show the yellow. And at 3 minutes, I will show the red, and that's your cue to wrap up. And I look forward to giving you a report as needed. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, Madam Distinguished Toastmaster Sunny Fresh, for your explanation. Now let's move on to our R counter, who is none other than Toastmaster Christine, I guess. Yeah, Christine from Jamaica. Welcome to the forum. Over to you, ma'am.
Always online,
Thank
the
you.
favorite thing. You're muted.
Thank you. Greeting, Mr. Toastmasters and other Toastmasters and guests, fellow Toastmasters. The purpose of the R counter is to note words and sounds that are used as crutch or pause fillers by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and, I will listen to filler sounds, including and I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or a phrase such as I, or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you so much, and over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for your beautiful explanation. And next, I would like to call our grammarian. Well, I'm not a native speaker of the English language. I speak Tamil. We speak Tamil primarily. So we all want someone to guide us. We all want someone to evaluate us when it comes to foreign language, right? So I love English very much. Let me be honest with you. I love English because it's a beautiful language that can connect us globally. See, the beauty of the English language today connects us and making this meeting so memorable. So yeah, I would like to call grammarian Victoria. So over to you, grammarian Victoria.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. As grammarian, my role is to pay attention to everyone's speaking. Although part of the responsibility is to pay attention to say, what are the wrong words you chosen. But I believe in this advanced club, my role will be more pay attention about what are the good words, sayings, and quotes. I will also introduce the word of the day. Word of the day today is introspective. It means characterized or given but to introspection. For example, this poem is really introspective. It makes you think about your own life. I look forward to giving the report by the end of the meeting. Now back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much, grammarian. Now I would like to call watcher Andrew Byrne to explain his duties.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster today. The role of the watcher is to really observe how everyone fulfills their roles and how they are on their individual frame. Are they dead center? Are they looking at their camera? Are they looking at you? Are they participating with facial expressions? What kind of background do they have? Is lighting good? All these things, and I'll report back to you and called upon at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your work and explaining your duties in a very precise manner. And now I would like to call chat monitor David F. Carr. Am I right?
That's me. Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Please introduce.
so Chat Monitor is a function that we have in online presenters meetings, partly for a practical reason, is when you are, say, Toastmaster of the Day, you might be busy paying attention to being Toastmaster of the Day and not able to keep an eye on the chat. And so if something is going horribly wrong and you don't know about it, it's the Chat Monitor's job to scan for those things and bring anything to the Toastmaster of the Day's attention that he might need to know about or that the other officers need to know about. But also sometimes people just post fun things. They may share resources and links in the chat. And so I will be watching for those and I'll give a short report at the end. I am also the vote counter today. And when we do a vote, I will post a link in the chat. You can click on that link to vote. Guests are welcome to vote, by the way. It doesn't require a login or anything. And so watch for that when it comes up.
Yeah, thank you so much, David, for explaining your duties and regulations. Well, now I would like to call vote counter again, David.
Well, as I said, when there are votes to count, I will count the votes. Typically in these meetings, we vote for the best table topics or the best impromptu speech, the best speaker, and the best evaluator. There could be other votes, but those are the three standard ones.
Okay, thank you so much once again. Well, now it's time to move on to the very important session, that is prepared speech session. So today we will be having two speakers who are going to rock the stage with their ultimate and amazing performance, I would say. So without making a further ado, let me call our first speaker, Johnny, who is our VPE, Vice President Education of Online Presenters, will be delivering a speech and going to inspire us with her beautiful words. So before that, I would like to know, what is poetry according to you, Johnny?
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Jay. Poetry, according to me, is, I don't do pen and paper, but pouring your soul out in writing, because sometimes the voice in your head needs somewhere to scream. It may not come out of your mouth, but I can guarantee it will find a way to express itself. And that's what poetry is to me, a way to express yourself, even when actual words coming out of your mouth fail you.
Yeah, that's 100% true, I would say, because it's all about pouring your words, pouring your thoughts into words, into I mean, with the help of pen, with the help of paper, I would say. So that's very well said. Okay, without making any further ado, let's get into a speech. Over to you.
All the world's a stage, and we are the mere players thereon. I know we've all heard that quote from Shakespeare and recited it a bit too many times. I do believe it's because, regardless of where we are, because we are all connected by the British Empire, we've all had to do Shakespeare in high school or in, what is upper education? I won't be able to state it, but I know we've all done it no matter where we are. I gave a speech last week, and in my introduction, I said, the 1,000 me's that I could be. Christine actually reached out to me and asked, what does that mean? The 1,000 me's that you could be. And it reminded me that for most people who are neurotypical, it means that you think in the way that you've been socialized. Most people don't think that our personality is just a mask. It's who we created to relate to the world. But there are so many different versions of me, you, everyone. Think about it. Are you the same person when you're at home, sitting back, scrolling social media, or typing a comment, as you are when you're standing in front of your boss or standing in front of your subordinate? Are you the same person when you're talking to your child that you are that when you're talking to your parent? Are you actually the same person when you're talking to somebody that you consider a friend that you are when you're considering or speaking to someone who is your arch nemesis? We change according to our circumstances and who we are. And every single one of those people are the million different yous that you can become. How does that help you when you're on stage? Knowing that every single time you communicate, you talk, or you say something, it genuinely is a performance. You're trying to connect with your audience. Think about it. I'm a Jamaican. We're known as the rudest, nice people you will ever meet in your life because by nature, we're pretty aggressive. We talk with a force. We have a certain movement. We bring a oomph when we bring it. And we have the vibes. Don't worry, I'll translate because you might not answer or understand what I just said, unless you're Jamaican and Christine. We have a way that we carry ourselves, how we talk, how we engage when we're trying to raise the vibration or get a party going. Earlier, Sonny's ta 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 is actually a part of my socialization. It's how I was raised. We get the party going. That's what we do. But that personality does not always work whenever you need to be demure and calm to bring across your message in a way that somebody who might see that fiery oomph as an attack, because that's the way they were socialized. It's always important to remember that the person we put on, depending on any situation, is based on our experiences, who we have been exposed to, how we've been socialized, and what we know. It's always important to remember, like the poet Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. That made me very introspective, because if you think about it, what I think is normal might not be what somebody else's life experience, relations, and socialization say that it's normal to them. But Johnny, how do we figure this out if we're all different? Oh, sorry, that was a voice in my head coming out. My bad. Like I told you, I answer. How do we change it? It's very simple. Getting to know your audience. But it's more important to get to know who, well, you are. Think about it. You can only connect to the millions of other yous out there by understanding the you that are in here. So my you may be angry, but why is my you angry? And why does my you consider shouting, aggression, or direct communication not to be passionate, but to be a sign of force or aggression? And why does your you think that somebody who speaks really quietly but can't look you in the eye is being shy or shifty? By understanding the you, it opens you up that even if you do judge, because I always say to people, I will judge, I won't hold it against you, to be willing to listen to the other side. Think about when you put on your costume for the stage of life that you find yourself on. Sometimes the prop might not fit in with what you're doing, but if you speak and connect to your audience after first understanding that emotion in you, I think it'll help you to get a long way. And if all else fails, just make sure that you find friends from all over who've done a lot of things, especially if you don't speak the same language. And I can guarantee you will increase the number of yous that exist for when you go out to encounter the stage that is this existence. Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much for your marvelous speech. What an amazing speaker with so much of intensity and powerful. Oh my God. So yeah, so now it's time for me to recite my second poem. That is all about someone who lost his heart and in search of his heart. So I would like to dedicate this poem to everybody or to people who lost his heart and have been searching for it. Give me a second. Yeah, here we go. Has anybody seen my heart? I swear I left it somewhere, maybe on the shelf, wedged between yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's excuses. Or was it in the back pocket of my dreams, the ones I wore when I thought I could survive this? You know, the ones with the tattered hems and dreams sprayed into the seams. I have checked everywhere underneath my bed, behind the pile of plans I meant to follow through on. I even looked in the junk drawer, the place where things go when you do not know what else to do with them. But it was not there either. Just a mess of tangled feelings and keys to doors I no longer open. I asked the mirror, but it just stared at me blankly as if I were a stranger pretending to belong in my own skin. I think it's mocking me now, watching me dig through old conversation and half-finished goodbyes, wondering if I left it with someone who never deserved it. Did I drop it along the way? Maybe when I was rushing to be someone I'm not, tripping over expectations that were mine to carry. Did I trade it away for approval or sell it for a sense of belonging that came with a receipt stamped non refundable? I even checked my inbox, scrolling through every message. Did I send it off in a text, hoping someone would respond with a piece of themselves? Did it slip through my fingers when I said I'm fine for the 100th time and no one thought to ask, are you really? Maybe I never lost it. Maybe it just got tired of me, of all my poor decisions, of all my self inflicted wounds. Maybe it packed its bags one night and now it's out there, trying to hitch a ride to someone who won't use it as a doormat. But if you see it, you will know it is patched in all the wrong places, stitched together with the promises I never kept and apologies I never got. It beats a little too fast, like it's afraid of being caught, but it is mine. So if you find it, tell it I have been looking. Tell it I have been trying. Tell it I will do better this time. And tell it this: home is not where it is safe, it is where it is understood. I repeat, home is not where it is safe, it is where it is understood. Does anyone see in my heart? Back to you. Yes, back to me. Thank you so much. That's my second poem. And this poem is something very special to me because I have gone through so many problems in my life, and I encountered a lot of problems and I learned a lot of lessons as well. But yeah, I found my heart that is actually within myself, with the self acceptance, with the self love, and everything. So okay, so let's move on to the next speaker, whose introduction is quite captivating, I would say. Yeah, his speech title is The Poetry of Judith Wright. Graham is an award winning speaker, trainer, consultant, and voice-over artist, but he says his greatest achievement in that he helped create and nurture two fine human beings. One of those, his daughter Linda, is a published poet. Oh my God, that's amazing. So perhaps it is no surprise that Graham is a fan of poetry. His speech today is entitled The Poetry of Judith Wright. So before you speak, I would love to know your thoughts on poetry and what is, according to you, poetry, Graham.
Thank you, Joe. When most people think of poetry, they think of what they learned in grade school or middle school, what we call primary school here, and that is da dun 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 da dun. But to me, poetry doesn't have to rhyme. What it does have to do is it has to take information. The difference between non-fiction, fiction, prose, and poetry is non-fiction is trying to get information from your head into the reader's head. Fiction is trying to get information from your head into the world of the reader. But poetry is trying to get information from your head and your heart into their heart, perhaps even bypassing their head. It's feelings and ideas that are given intensity by the use of distinctive style and rhythm, not necessarily rhyme, but rhythm. So that's what I see as poetry.
Oh, thank you so much. That is 100% true. Well, your speech title is The Poetry of Judith Wright. The Poetry of Judith Wright. Over to you, sir.
Toastmaster Jay, friends, you've probably gathered from my accent that I am Australian, and a proud Aussie at that. My country is young, our culture is an ever-developing blend of our forebears, our future, and quite frankly, our unique worldview. Aussies aren't great culture vultures on the whole. We prefer football to philosophy and barbecues to books, but that doesn't mean that we can't be introspective, to use the word of the day for this meeting. We do, in fact, have many writers and artists and poets that inspire us. For me, one of the best poets to come from the land down under is a woman called Judith Wright. Before she died in the year 2000, at the year of 85, Wright had become an icon in Australia for her environmental activism, for her championing of Indigenous rights, but most of all for her ability in a few short stanzas to bring Australia to life, warts and all. One example is quite sad and downbeat. It's a poem called Metho Drinker. Now, before I begin, I should explain. Metho is the Australian term for methylated spirits, what many of you would call denatured alcohol or solvent alcohol. Essentially, it's a cleaning solution made up of 95% ethyl alcohol and 5% methanol, which is added just to make it bitter and unpalatable. It is a quick, cheap, but incredibly dangerous way to get drunk. And it is the tipple of choice for many Australian deros or derelict hobos who sleep and all too often die in our parks. That's particularly true of many Indigenous Australians seeking oblivion. And that was an issue that was close to the heart of Judith Wright. So, Metho Drinker. Under the death of winter's leaves, he lies who cried to nothing and the terrible night to be his home and bread. Oh, take from me the weight of the waterfall ceaseless time that batters down my weakness, the knives of light whose thrust I cannot turn, the cruelty of human eyes that dare not touch nor pity. Under the worn leaves of the winter city, safe in the house of nothing, he now lies. His white and burning girl, his woman of fire, creeps to his heart and sets a candle there to melt away the flesh that hides from bone, to eat the nerve that tethers him in time. He will lie warm until that bone is bare, and on a dead dark moon he wakes alone. It was for death he took her. Death is but this, and yet he is uneasy under her kiss and winces from that acid of her desire. This is a theme which comes up again and again in Judith Wright's poetry, being overwhelmed by life and how you react to that. For example, one of my favorite Judith Wright poems is Request to a Year. If the year is meditating a suitable gift, I should like it to be the attitude of my great-great-grandmother, legendary devotee of the arts, who, having 8 children and little opportunity for painting pictures, sat one day on a high rock beside a river in Switzerland, and from a difficult distance viewed her second son, balanced on a small ice floe, drift down the current toward a waterfall that struck rock bottom 80 feet below. While her second daughter, impeded no doubt by the petticoats of the day, stretched out a last hope alpenstock, which luckily later caught him on his way. Nothing, it was evident, could be done, and with the artist's isolating eye, my great-great-grandmother hastily sketched the scene. The sketch survives to prove the story by. Year, if you have no Mother's Day present planned, reach back and bring me the firmness of her hand. Now, when I first read that poem, I was, I'll be honest, offended by the old woman's apparent indifference. I mean, how could she just sit there and sketch the scene as her son faced imminent death? But later I came to realize that Wright was, well, right. Sometimes, when circumstances overcome us, all we can do is take a picture, learn a lesson, commit to memory that which is carrying us along in an unyielding hand. Sometimes there's nothing else left to us than to do what we can, because to do what we can is all we can do. But of course, there are other times when we can do more. We can refuse to give up. We can become legend. The blacksmith's boy went out with a rifle and a black dog running behind. Cobwebs snatched at his feet, rivers hindered him, thorn branches caught at his eyes to make him blind, and the sky turned into an unlucky opal. But he didn't mind. I can break branches, I can swim rivers, I can stare out any spider I meet, said he to his dog and his rifle. The blacksmith's boy went over the paddocks with his old black hat on his head. Mountains jumped in his way, rocks rolled down on him, and the old crow cried, "You'll soon be dead." And the rain came down like mattocks. But he only said, "I can climb mountains, I can dodge rocks, I can shoot an old crow any day." And he went on over the paddocks. When he came to the end of the day, the sun began falling. Up came the night, ready to swallow him like the barrel of a gun, like an old black hat, like a black dog hungry to follow him. Then the pigeon, the magpie, and the dove began wailing, and the grass lay down to pillow him. His rifle broke, his hat blew away, the dog was gone, and the sun was falling. But in front of the night, the rainbow stood on the mountain, just as his heart foretold. He ran like a hare, he climbed like a fox, he caught it in his hands, the colours and the cold, like a bar of ice, like the column of a fountain, like a ring of gold. The pigeon, the magpie, the dove flew up to stare, and the grass stood up again on the mountain. The blacksmith's boy hung the rainbow on his shoulder instead of his broken gun. Lizards ran out to sea. Snakes made way for him, and the rainbow shone as brightly as the sun. As the world said, nobody is braver, nobody is bolder, nobody else has done anything equal to it. He went home as easy as could be, with the swinging rainbow on his shoulder. Legend. Toastmasters and friends, I know few, if any of you, will ever have heard of Judith Wright before. But I hope I've been able to give you just a taste of what she means to many Australians. And I hope that you might seek her out in the library, on the internet, and share that love. I'll put a link to some of her poems in the chat in a moment. Toastmaster Jay.
Thank you so much. Am I audible? Yeah, I hope you're done with your speech.
I'm
Yeah,
done.
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for your amazing speech. Yeah, I asked whether you're done with your speech or not because I'm not able to hear your voice really well. That is the reason I asked. So, not the intention to hurt you or anything. Yeah, thank you so much for your understanding. Well, it's time for me to perform my last poem, and this poem is for my loved one, and for the person who has been afraid of society's judgments, the person uh, who has been uh, who has been victimizing herself or himself for the mistakes he or she has not committed, I would say. So, without making a further ado, let's dive into our last poem, Night Thought. I want you to know that when I give you my heart, I hope you will accept all its broken pieces and keep them safe with you. I know some pieces will be missing, but I hope you will not mind. I will come to you vulnerable, soft, and breakable. Yet I hope you will accept me as I am. I will write you silly love poems with all the words I know, hoping they make you smile the same way I do whenever I think about you. On some days, you might find me sitting next to you, yet feeling so far away. On those days, I hope you will hold my hand a little tighter and hug me a little longer. There will be days when I will be upset with you, but I hope on those days you will try even harder to talk to me, to understand me. And yes, there may be days when we fight, maybe even go to the whole day without speaking. But when night falls and we sit together at the dinner table, if I offer you a slice of cake with my hands, I hope you won't refuse. Instead, I hope you will take the entire cake and playfully smear it on my face, laughing loudly as if to say, "This is how we make up." I promise I won't mind. In fact, I will kiss you with my cream covered lips, and together we will pick a new flavor for next time. On the days when I make you cry, I hope you will remember all the times I made you laugh. I made you laugh too. I hope you will forgive my mistakes. And if a day ever comes when you think I don't love you anymore, I hope you will remember that I wrote you this letter before we even met. And if that is not enough, I promise I will write you 1,000 more. So, yeah, this poem is very, very special to me because it's kind of this poem is specially crafted for the people who are actually hopelessly romantic, because I'm a hopeless romantic poet by myself. I love writing poems that is actually a bit more about love, romance, and intimacies. And also, I write poems about society problems, especially the problems that we face in India, that we face across the globe as well. So this poem is all about giving hope, giving giving love, care, and reassurance to my partner, to my loved one, and letting her to know or letting him to know that no matter what we will have to face, we will get through and go through in every phase and each phase that life throws at us. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And before I hand over the session to general evaluator, I would like to know that the both the speakers, whether the both speakers are qualified or not.
Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, both speakers qualified. Joni was 6 minutes and 48 seconds, and Toastmaster Graham was 7 minutes and 24 seconds. I didn't have to be introspective about that to know the time.
Okay.
Back to you.
Thank you so much.
And the link for
David.
voting is in the chat.
Okay, and I'm giving 30 seconds, and please cast your vote to the best speaker, and that would be helpful. So your 30 seconds starts from now on.
We don't have to wait. People can.
Okay then. So it's time to call our general evaluator, Sherry
Just
Blake.
a point of order, Toastmaster of the Day. I know we are running behind time, but we do have table topics. So I guess a quick table topic session with Marianne.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And okay, so it's time. It's time to call the table topic master to conduct a table topic session where the guest can also take part in. So please help me in welcoming our table topic master. Over to you, sir.
Well, I'm not really a sir, but here I am. I too am going to wax poetic, let's just say that. And while I might not be as introspective as Jay, I do have a poem that I created today with AI. So let me read it to you before we get started. In a room full of friends or a formal affair, tabletop awaits, spark and prepare. A challenge of thought, quick answers to find, to sharpen the tongue and polish the mind. 1 to 2 minutes is all that you get to deliver your answer concise and well set. A question is posed, a topic revealed, your wit and your words become your shield. It's impromptu speaking, a game of the heart, where spontaneity meets the art of the smart. No scripts, no notes, just thoughts on the fly, building confidence as moments pass by. Each table, each topic, a chance to explore your ideas, your voice, your courage, and more. Through practice, you'll grow, your skills will refine. Table topics transforms Your speaking will shine. Okay, now we're gonna get started, and I have some rhyming table topics for you this evening. So let me start with Sherry, if you don't mind. Sherry, yours is chase the sun or stay and run. And I'm asking you to explore the concept of adventure and ambition versus staying in your comfort zone. Share a personal story about the time you chose to explore something new or decided to stick to what you know.
Thank you so much for that question, that poem, for giving me something I need to answer. Well, you know where I'm going to go with this. So, chasing the sun and exploring something new. Well, back in 2022, as I always seem to refer to, I decided to run my first marathon. I have never, ever run a day in my adult life back then. I had 5 months to train. And I did all of this because a coworker said, "Hey, when are you going to run the marathon with us?" And I thought I could not do this. I said, "Run a marathon? I can't run that long." And she gave me some tips and pointers, told me that we even had a colleague that ran the marathon, but he walked the entire thing. So when I heard that, I knew that I could explore this because I love to walk, and I knew that if I'm able to do it, that I would be a good candidate for the marathon. So I decided to take the plunge and try. And that particular year, I trained, only had 5 months. I got out there about 5 to 6 days a week. It was one of the hottest summers we had. It was a heat wave almost every day. And I got out there and did it. And I've been hooked. I haven't stopped running marathons since, and I enjoy it. So that was definitely something that I did, which I didn't think I could do. And I stepped outside my comfort zone. Thank you so much for that question. And back to you, Table Topic Master.
I am still in awe of the fact that you did that. So good for you. David Carr. Okay, your rhyme is plan and plot or take a shot. And here I'm encouraging you to discuss the merits of being strategic and careful versus taking a leap of faith. Have you ever acted impulsively and it worked or didn't? Or do you prefer having everything mapped out? David.
Doing things strategically is an aspiration, maybe. I am a little bit more of a, let's just kind of do this off the cuff kind of person, and it's a weakness, I suppose, but I have also learned how to juggle, how to adapt by doing things in a free form fashion. I'm in a professional role right now where it's good to plan, but then we tend to, I'm in a public relations role where I wind up chasing the news cycle. We call it newsjacking, where we're trying to find things that are going on in the news and attach our company's name in a positive way with whatever's going on. And we tend to do that more. And actually, we tend to get more payoff by doing that because we're intersecting with things that the journalists are already interested in, already planning to write about. Whereas when we do the big strategic exercise and we spend 3 months planning for a big report that we expect is going to get a lot of press, often it kind of goes out there and just dies. And so strategy or impromptu, I lean towards the impromptu. Madam Topics Master.
Well, thank you, kind sir, and you do it well. Next up, we're going to call our Vice President of Education, Joni Laidlaw. Joni, your rhyme is write a letter or make it better. Focus on how people express themselves during challenging or emotional times. Would you rather write down your thoughts or address issues head on? What has worked best for you in the past?
Write a letter or make it better.
Yes,
Simply
ma'am.
put, our words state what we would like to be. Our actions state who we actually are. Now, I just said that all the world's a stage and we're different based on our circumstances, and that part is true. In Jamaica, we have a phrase. This is the second one today. Mouth make for talk. Words are important. Communication is important. Your mouth was made for speaking. But for me, actions genuinely speak louder than words. I spoke before about neurodivergent people. They're people who cannot ever find the actual words, but they can find some form of action. If you look closely, I remember I said to somebody one day that cats talk, dogs talk. Yes, I know there's an app now where you can translate, but before then they laughed at me. And when I told them that crows talk as well, because they didn't understand that language and communication is more than just the stringing together of syllables. It actually is about connecting in some way. Now that we have dogs who can hit a button to say a word and they've learned how to recite that, we think that words are more important because people believe that once you've said something, it's accomplished, but it's not. I always keep in mind that words state what we hope to be. When we introspect and wax philosophical and put ourselves on a pedestal of the higher self of what we could be, but our actions, that just states what we are. Back to you, our table topics master.
Well, thank you kindly. So I'm wrapping it up right now and tossing it back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much. Without making any further delay, I would like to call General Evaluator to conduct its evaluation session. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for that. So I'm just going to jump right in because we are pressed for time. We're going to start with our first evaluator. So we have Carrie Kong, who will evaluate the speech delivered by Joni Renee Laidlaw. Carrie?
Thank you so much, General Evaluator Sherry. And it's my second time of doing the evaluation for first time doing the evaluation of Joni, and I'm really excited. So her speech is All the World's Stage. The speech purpose statement is to help the audience understand the value of self-identity and expression. So here, I really want to congratulate Joni's introspective speech of the day. So for that, I really want to congratulate Joni of achieving several excellent speeches on this, especially on her skills and also as a very seasoned Toastmasters. And for Joni, she excelled at a couple of different ways. And there are three things that I'm especially really impressed. First, it's about your vocal variety. You have so much intonation. You have like up voice, you have down voice, you emphasize, and sometimes you're a little bit weaker your voice and make it softer. So basically, your vocal variety really arouses the interest of the audience, and that's something I really like about. The second thing is definitely about your gestures and your expressions. That's something I really appreciate you. Is when you raise up your hands and you also have a lot of different vocal parallelisms that you use, such as do you know, and do you know. Those kind of different grammas that you make it really emphasize and bring up your emotions that I really like. And third and last but not least, of course, your content, because you really invoke our emotions. That's why you make it so interest and purpose, which definitely achieve your goals in your speech. That means that you're being introspective. For example, you open the speech with a quote from Shakespeare, and then you end the speech with other quotes, and you have some quotes even from Christine. So I think you really think about the audience and of what they want and try to make a speech tailored to them. And at the end, I really want to challenge you with something that you can work on. First is definitely maybe it's to work with your eye contact with the camera, because there's one moment that you're really, really emotional and expressive. That's why you get super, super close to the camera and maybe a little bit shouting at it. So maybe the audience will feel a little bit daunted a little bit during that time. So maybe you want to like retract yourself or maybe lower your voice a little bit when you're getting really too emotional. Another thing is that when you end the speech, maybe you can summarize a little bit on, by doing this, I want to recap, by doing this, this, and this, you can achieve. So instead of like a very general sentence, you can make it a little bit more summary. So that's all. I really want to congratulate Joni. I know I'm running out low on time, but thank you for your wonderful speech. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Jim Barber, who will evaluate Graham's speech. Jim, please provide your evaluation.
With pleasure, Madam General Evaluator. Graham, I've evaluated you numerous times, and I think most everybody here has heard those evaluations. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time by describing everything that you did right, because pretty much everything that you do is right. I will just simply summarize by saying that you presented the poetry of Judith Wright wonderfully. You described it, then you gave an example of some poetry, then you described what you had read, and then you gave another example, and you went back and forth between the two, and that was so well done. When you are speaking yourself, you speak poetry, Graham. I mean that as the highest compliment. For example, at one point you talked about Indigenous Australians seeking oblivion. That, sir, is poetry. It doesn't rhyme, but the rhythm is there. You speak in poetry. So I don't have any suggestions for how you could improve your presentation. I do have a suggestion. I don't know that it would work, but I'm curious to see what would happen. Normally at online presenters, when someone gives a presentation and they put up PowerPoint slides with words on them, and then they read the words. I hate that. I hate that, putting up words, reading the words. But I was wondering in this case how that would have worked if, when you were reading the poetry of Judith Wright, if you had put it up to the side, one line at a time, what you were reading, so that we could not only listen to your saying the poetry, but actually see it as it was written. It would double the experience for us, and would make a good use of the visual medium, because all we were really seeing, was you interpreting the poetry. And I think it would have been nice in this case to have read the poetry while we were hearing it. I don't know that it would work better, but I would be very curious to see what would happen if you did it that way. That's my only suggestion, just to see if it would make a difference in the thing. Your presentation style is, of course, magnificent as always. I do this without a lot of introspection. I know that doesn't make any sense, but I wanted to fit the word in there anyway. And basically, this was another outstanding presentation. Looking forward to your next one. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Now I will call on the other team members to provide their reports. Sunny Fridge, our timer, please provide your timing report.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Oh, time is not on my side. However, everyone did well. Everyone has made their speeches For Joni and Graham, Sherry Blake during table topics 142, David Carr 140, Joni Laidlaw 209, and in the vote for best evaluator, despite my little faux pas, Carrie Kong made it 258, and Jim Barber also made it 2 minutes and 52 seconds. That's my report, and there's no introspection there. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Our next role player will be Christine. She was our odd counter. Christine, please share your report with us. You're on mute.
There I go again. Thank you. What a privilege it has been to listen to all the speakers. I must say that as the counter, I had the opportunity to observe not just the brilliance of the presentation, but also the little quirks that makes the delivery just right. Speaker one, Joni, I must commend you on your flawless performance. I was riveted. I was leaning into your presentation, not just because I'm Jamaican, but because there was also some introspection as you were speaking. Your delivery was as polished as it was powerful, and there were no fillers, no no none of those were there present in your speaking. And so it's a true testament to preparation and being polished. Speaker number two, Graham, I must tell you, I'm in love with your accent. Your storytelling weaved so well that you drew me into the conversation. You drew me into your world. You drew me into the poetry itself. And I could visualize everything as you were speaking. And awesomely, there were no fillers also coming from you. Of course, a quick note for Toastmaster of the Day, Jay. Your transitions were smooth, your poetry was engaging, and there were a few ums and ahs and so's, but they blended well into the delivery of what it is that you were presenting. And so I just want to say, great job. So thank you so much for allowing me the privilege of observing, learning, and growing in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Victoria was our grammarian. Can you please provide your observations on language usage during the meeting?
Thank you, General Evaluator. In terms of grammarian's report, firstly, I want to focus on the good words, good usage. Today, we talk about a poetic topic. So a lot of metaphoric adjectives or verbs to describe something. For example, forging deeper connection, pouring my soul into something, bridge the souls, and climb like a fox. Those are beautiful metaphorical words to describe something. And then for the nouns, for example, ink of my pen. And regarding to the choice of words, we often use alliteration to use the repetitive words for the first word sound to make it strong. For example, my eye contact, that's shy or shifty. That's pronounced by our Johnny, I think, if I recall it correctly. And most interesting is that when Marianne talk about the poem made by the AI, I think the wit of words, that's a good alliteration as well. In terms of the word of the day, many people have used it, and Johnny will be the one who, Johnny or Sunny? Oh, Johnny have been using it the most often. Not only the introspective, but also the introspect. And our evaluator, Jim Barbara, Marianne, and Sherry, Christian, you all have used word of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. David Carr, he was our chat and vote monitor. So David, please provide your chat monitor report. And if you feel as though you want to wait until the end of the meeting for the vote report, you can do that. Because I know we typically get that at the end of the meeting. I don't know if you got all votes.
We're pretty much at the end of the meeting. We're after the end of the meeting. There were a lot of things shared in the chat. Dr. Byrne, as he often does, shared a number of inspirational infographics that you can try and scan back through and look. But actually, mostly, I should note that poetry was shared in the chat. Jay's entire poems, as well as links to the poetry of the poet that Graham mentioned. So go back and look at that. If you want to capture the chat, you can click on the little 3 dots icon in the chat box and download that to your computer to go through those later. I think that should be it for the chat report. And let me charge ahead into sharing the winners of the contests that we had this week. So for table topics, that went to Sherry Blake. Congratulations, Sherry. For speaker, we had Graham Cairns. And evaluator, we had some guy named Jim Barber. That is all.
Thank you. Overall, we had a great meeting as usual. We started on time. One thing I will point out, Jay, I think you did an absolutely or absolute. You did a fantastic job today. I think you are one of our guests, right? So you did a great job as Toastmaster of the day. One thing that I would mention that for all of us, that when we're Toastmaster of the day, we should be mindful of time. Jay, I know you gave us a unique style today. You gave us quite a few poems and they were fantastic. But I would say in the future, try to incorporate your poems into the time, because we typically end at 9, but we didn't go too much over. It's only 9:07, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I know probably Marianne may have wanted to make her table topic session a little longer, but we couldn't do that because of time. But overall, great meeting. It was my pleasure to be your general evaluator today, and I will turn it back over to Jay.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster, General Evaluator Sherry Blake. Yes, from next time I will be mindful of time very much. I'm really so sorry for the late and everything that I caused. So yeah, now I would like to hand over the meeting to the VPE of Online President. Okay, so now I would like to hand over the control to the President of Online Presenters, Marian Grady. Over to you, ma'am.
Well, thank you, Jay. And I agree with everybody else. You did a wonderful job tonight. Everyone, let's give them a round of applause.
Well done.
So now, I talked to Joni a little earlier, and she's asked that we sign up for roles a little sooner. And if you are doing a level 1 or level 2, we need you. We're aiming to get President's Distinguished, which is a point system that Toastmasters have. And we need some more level 1s and level 2s. So if you are thinking to start a new path, now's the right time to do it. And now, again, I'll tell you that we have the presentation from Nick Lacani about growing your club, and that will be next week. So everybody is welcome to that. And Talk Up Toastmasters in February and March, where we have to try and get 5 new members. But tonight was a great meeting, and I am so happy that you all decided to spend your Monday evening with us. And at this point, I am going to end the meeting, but guests, please stay, because we're going to just chat a little bit before we get off the line. So Jay,